HTML hypertext is a unique kind of digital text that allows for like the connection of one page to another, which are essentially links. Simple concept that we've grown we almost take for granted now, but it's like an essential feature of the web. And a markup language is something you like devised by academics back in the day to like for peer-reviewed papers so that when they were sending things back and forth digitally, the formatting wasn't completely destroyed. So HTML is essentially like a formatting, a markup language that allows for connections between various pages. So let's take a look at some more stuff. Fancy words coming up here. Oh, one more thing. Yes, a quick point. To create an HTML file needs an extension. So whatever your name is, like homepage.html, that's just going to tell your text editor that you're working in an HTML file. But if you enter that in like Microsoft Word, nothing's going to happen. You need to have a text editor that recognizes HTML. So that's a simple little thing. And then just some simple words that you're probably all familiar with, but I want to just give you some vocabulary. So semantic and non-semantic, we're going to discuss those in the next slide, but they're basically categorical terms to describe different HTML tags. Elements are any kind of content that is nested or wrapped within an HTML tag. And nested are like, we'll talk about what tags are as well. And nested is when some element contains other smaller elements, like Russian dolls, nested within nested things. And wrapped is text or content wrapped in a tag. So nested refers to tags within tags. Wrapped refers to content within a tag. And then meta information sounds like crazy stuff, but information about information, that's kind of a weird thing, but it's basically like your data, date created, file size, all that kind of stuff. So in block, inline, and block are how text is rendered. We're going to get to all that. So semantic tags. Semantic means meaning. It has a semantic tag has a name whose name describes what it actually does. So like a section tag will format whatever data you put into a smaller section. Your header tag is just like you were when you made your header in a high school on your English paper or something like that. Your name, your date, your teacher's name, and all that stuff. So they will automatically act as if it's as it's supposed to. Whereas like a non-semantic tag is like a name whose tag whose name does not say anything about the kind of content that holds. So like a div would be a stand for a divider, and you can put all sorts of things inside of a divider. So a semantic tag really only has one function, one purpose. It does one specific kind of thing. It can be, there's a little more flexibility than that, but a div can hold multiple tags. It can hold all sorts of things. And divs typically render things in a block as a single paragraph of information, whereas a span, which is another common tag, holds things in like a single long row of information. So what is all this stuff? What goes where? And this is really just meant to be a visual description of how things are housed and what is wrapping, how things are nested. So you can see that the head tag and the body tag are what are called siblings. The head tag, the closing head tag ends, and then the opening body tag opens. So they are considered to be in the same level as one another, siblings. And you can see the header tag, the main tag, and the footer tag are all contained within the body, and all page data is contained within these two HTML tags. So that's just a very rudimentary thing. We'll see another one. Let's see what it actually looks like. So as you can see here, we have an opening head tag and a closing head tag with some different stuff, other tags inside of it, and your body tag, which is empty right now, underneath it. And everything is wrapped in an HTML tag. And as you can see up here, this doctype.html is not actually an HTML tag. It's a tag telling the browser what kind of file to expect. So this is just something that goes right in the top of every HTML page. And yeah, we'll talk more about this. We have some links here. As you can see, we have a style.css and a javascript.js, and these links are stored within our head page. So the head, let's get next slide. So yeah, as we said, the HTML tag is the outermost tag, and the head tag doesn't actually display any information. This is all where you would store that information about the page, the metadata and links. So yes, oops. And then next thing, okay, so what is content and what is an element? An element is made up of an opening tag and a closing tag, and they are said to basically wrap the content. So here is a paragraph element, just a P inside of brackets with no content. And here is P tags with content. So if you were accidentally forget to wrap your content in a tag, it may still be displayed, but not the way you want it to be. It will inherit whatever styling is applied to a tag that is directly above it, one level up. So there will always be some styling applied, whether you type it into a tag or not. It just may not be what you want it to be. So here is more information about how things are linked together. So back in the old days, all this stuff, everything that you would see on a page, all the CSS, all the JavaScript would all be written in one single file in two tags. A style tag would be written in here, and a script tag would be written in here. And then developers would have to bounce around an index page looking for where they need to be, and it got very cumbersome and unwieldy pretty quickly. So what we decided to do is take advantage of the hypertext aspect of it and create links to these other pages so that we can have separation of concerns. And so that keeps things more organized for us as developers. Now, here's some other basic common tags that we see a lot of. So an input tag does not require a closing tag. It can kind of just live on its own with this little backslash there. And this typically input tag comes with a label tag, and they are connected to each other through these properties. The for property, which coincides with the name property of the input. And right here is where you can declare what kind of box that is. It renders this. This word right here comes from here, and then your box right here is rendered by this exact thing. And the same idea for the password. This tells it to make those black dots right there. So that's how it's simple things like that. Next thing is some more tags, very common tags. H1, you should really only have one H1 tag per page because that's your big header. Then we have a couple others that really are similar and just get smaller and smaller. You can see, pretty self-explanatory. And this is a bit beyond the scope of this talk, but once the browser has interpreted the HTML, it kind of reads it as these nodes. It's another way to illustrate the structure of it illustrates the relationship between different elements and contents. So we've seen a few of these diagrams, but what does this stuff actually look like once it hits the screen? And that is not very good. So HTML is known to be pretty ugly, which is why we have some other things like CSS and styling, which are meant to make things look a little better. So this is the actual code, all this big, long, ugly line that renders this very bland looking page as well. So HTML is not a full language. It leaves a lot to be desired, which is why we have things like JavaScript and CSS. And that kind of is for the next slide, I think, next talk.